And now we welcome in the studio with us every Friday, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You know they're going to be here. And we're talking about It's the Attorney Time. Ask the Attorney. And attorney T. Clifton Harviel and attorney William Neal Small. We welcome you guys to the studio today.
Good morning. Happy Friday the 13th.
Well, I don't know about that, but yeah. Well, whether you happy, you feel good about it or not, you're going to have to accept it. It is the 13th Friday. And Attorney Small, did we hear from you already?
Well, I was going to say good morning, and I hope things go well for everybody, even though it is Friday the 13th.
All right. There's some strange things in here. Also, by the way, we want to let the people know that we are honored to have the president of the new Tri-State Defender, Mr. William Smith, in the studio with us today.
Good morning. Good to be here.
Yeah.
It was a long route to get here, but with God's help,
not far as the traffic wise,
right? No, just my own personal travails trying to get here. But I'm glad to be here this morning.
Yeah. Hey, we're honored to have you, and he'll be sharing, and we'll be talking to him as well as a couple of things we're going to talk to him about. All right, attorneys, and we've got some things that came out in the paper this morning you want to talk about.
Well, before we get to the paper, let me say one thing about something we've talked about the last show or maybe a couple of shows.
Okay.
The rape kit situation here in Memphis. And apparently, as we've learned, it's not isolated. It's not just Memphis, but it's a problem across the country. What damages do these ladies have at this point, and can they make a claim against the police department in the city? And Bill and I were talking about that, and we think that there's got to be some avenue of compensation for these women because they have been victimized a second time. Now, whether that's going to be a lawsuit or whether that would be under the victim's compensation portion of the Tennessee Code, we're going to digest over the weekend, and I know we're going to do domestic violence next week, and rape could be considered a subset of domestic violence. So we will research that and discuss that, and we'll tell you what we think next week during Domestic Violence Week. But it occurs to each of us, and Bill can certainly speak for himself, but there's got to be some avenue for these women to be compensated for the second injury that they'd suffered.
Okay, you talk about the compensation. But is there a statute of limitation? If there is one, then what type of compensation? Well, you guys probably looked at over the weekend. If there is anything that they can do,
that is a civil case. So my expertise is in criminal law. I need a chance to look at it. I think the normal statute of limitations on a civil case is 5 years.
On a tort injury, it's 1 year.
Tort 1 year.
Personal injuries is a 1 year statute of limitations in Tennessee, which is one of the shortest in the nation. I think Mississippi's is 3, and I think Arkansas is 3. So we have a short one here.
Wow. If they have 3s and we have 1s, we really do have a short one here. Thank you, Nashville.
And
a lot of times you end up having to file a civil suit before you really know what it's all about in terms of injuries and permanent impairment. So it is a rather short statute of limitations we have in Tennessee for personal injuries.
Let us. We think that that's a question that deserves a respectable answer. So give us the weekend to look at it, and we'll give you our opinion when we come in. On Domestic Violence
and there's
Week.
quite a few women that have that are victims of this.
Potentially a couple of thousand or more.
Yeah.
So
all right,
we think that's something that deserves attention.
But let me interject here. The victims injury fund in Tennessee is available for a lot of crimes. Rape is one of them. But robbery, assault, those kind of things, you can file a claim with the state to get. There's a cap on it, but you can get some of your medical bills and loss of earning capacity and all back. And we can talk about that some more maybe next week. But
that's very interesting. You talked about that a couple of days ago.
I
had no idea what it was, but
we didn't get a chance to get into it too much, and I don't know if we want to take the time today. But it is available. A lot of people do not know about it. I had a client not too long ago that told me she was assaulted, and I said, well, have you looked at filing your claim for victims' injuries? And she had never heard of it. So it is something that's available and people ought to know about.
Okay.
The thing that I did notice in the paper this morning, and I I'm going to presage this little comment by saying there is, in criminal defense, no one-size-fits-all.
Okay.
And this, I think, will illustrate that beyond anybody's question. We mentioned last time that there was a local former Memphis police officer who got 6 months jail sentence for 2 vehicular homicides.
And speeding, the guy was going about 95 miles an hour in a police car, and 2 people were killed.
At that rate of speed, it's a little more than speeding. That borders on, if not actually is, reckless driving.
Yeah.
It would have to be. I think 20 miles over is where reckless kicks in, and this is way over that.
I don't know if that's codified, but it is certainly a rule of thumb.
Yeah. And the police officer's case was in federal criminal court. This is in local Shelby County criminal court, apparently yesterday, and a man got 6 months jail sentence for taking photographs of women in tanning booths without their permission.
And the officer gets 6 months.
And the officer got 6 months for the 2 vehicular homicides.
What's
35-year-old mother and a 13-year-old daughter.
Okay, what's the difference?
Something has to be wrong with that.
One is in
Something
federal.
doesn't look right, does it?
I'll
I'll go back to there's no one-size-fits-all in criminal defense, where one of them is a federal court, one of them is a local state court.
What's the difference?
Well, the federal courts are generally going to have the more complex or the more difficult cases, the larger cases, that type of thing. And for many years, up until the Attorney General's speech a couple of weeks ago, federal jurisdiction had been aggressively being expanded and taking over things that had been state court cases. For example, armed robbery of convenience stores used to be a state-level case. It was something that we defended routinely when I worked at that level of court. When I got to the federal level, the feds decided they wanted to take those, and so as a part of their expanding their jurisdiction, they started indicting them, and we started objecting, saying, no, that's a state-level case, and they rationalized it by saying, well, the goods that are in the convenience store have traveled in interstate commerce. Those goods generated the funds. The funds were the subject of the robbery. Therefore, we have federal jurisdiction. So they expanded federal jurisdiction aggressively for a number of years, and Holder has recently, in the last month or so, backed off on that policy. The difference is that I think federal court has more structure to it. But I think really, the heart of your question is what's the difference in how they got these 2 sentences.
Yeah.
And I would suggest that it comes down to there is no one-size-fits-all. If you want your suit to fit well, you get a good tailor. If you want your lawsuit to go well, you get a good lawyer.
Yeah.
And I think both of these cases are examples of very good criminal defense lawyering. There is no one-size-fits-all. They each got 6 months. That's not for us to get up and go to work every day, that's a long time. But in the relative scheme of criminal sentences, that's not a huge sentence.
I guess some people would think, okay, you got the judge sitting there or a jury or whatever, and the crime is a bad crime, and then why would you let somebody come in, even though it's the attorneys, they come in but yet this person committed. I guess the jury or the judge have to decide without a reasonable doubt whether the attorneys make them believe without a reasonable doubt that the person committed this crime. And this is why some of these people get off? Or
well, both of these cases were guilty pleas, so there was no no trial in either case, no jury, no proof beyond a reasonable doubt. They both pled guilty, so they both had sentencing hearings. At the sentencing hearing, the measure is not beyond a reasonable doubt, but the civil standard, preponderance of the evidence. So basically what the paper says about the man who got 6 months for the tanning photos is that he used an adjacent booth. He took 83 photos and 13 videos of various women, including a 16-year-old. And it doesn't indicate that these women are dressed or undressed. It's in a tanning booth, so I'm assuming they're probably in swimming suits or bikinis or something of that nature, and I'm assuming they have to change.
And I'm pretty sure somebody right now is just getting totally confused why someone that would commit a homicide and kill two people get killed, and then somebody take pictures, just photos, get the same sentence.
Well, let me ask Cliff, does it say in that article about over what period of time these pictures were taken? It was obviously more than a one-time event.
Yeah, let's see, 12 months, I think, is mentioned. Let me see here. I'm looking at the paper right now, and I'm not seeing a time frame. But
Yeah, I don't think it says. I'm reading it here. He was arrested in 2011.
Without trying to justify either sentence, it was a lot of times the ongoing nature of the criminal activity is a factor in sentencing. And as bad as the accident was, the reasoning may have been there. It was a one-time event, as opposed to this person who was ongoing in his endeavors.
And even this, I mean, I read here.
See right here, it says, from an adjacent tanning booth, Wright took 83 photos, 13 videos as well.
Right.
Of various women, including a minor.
Yeah. Right.
How many counts?
He had apparently already started some type of treatment program for his deviancy, for lack of a better word.
How many counts was he charged with, Cliff? Does it say in there?
Let's see, 5 counts.
5 counts.
He probably had a lot more they could have charged him with, and that was part of the plea.
I would assume so, yeah.
5 counts of photographing persons without their consent. Which I assume it could have been a lot worse than that, but that was the plea that he gave.
Yeah, and that would bring civil liability as well.
Potentially. And it's at a business, so the business has liability.
Yeah. Even though the person got off in this particular case, he's still subject to civil.
He didn't get off.
No, he didn't get off.
Well, I mean, even though he got the lighter sentence.
Right.
Well,
the question is guilt or innocence.
Well, to me, I'm saying he got off, really.
Well, even if he'd been acquitted, you still could have brought a civil case against him. And, of course, as you know, a civil standard is a lot less than a criminal standard. It's a preponderance of the evidence.
And that's what's happening to the officer here. Some civil stuff is coming in with
I
police.
I would be shocked if it was not.
Yeah, I guess that's what my question was. 2 questions. One is, what would generally the sentencing guidelines for negligent homicide or whatever, reckless, whatever that the officer was charged with
in the car wreck?
Yeah, in a car wreck. And then, what's the possibility of because the officer probably is not the deep pockets in the situation. Of course, the city of Memphis is as the police department.
Well,
the possibility of the family being able to pursue a civil case to get some sort of justice or compensation, because in my estimation, the family certainly has not gotten justice.
Well, you may have missed it. We talked about that a little bit the other day, that the city, if he was on the city's business, the city certainly could be named in a lawsuit. You run into the Governmental Tort Liability Act, though, because it caps damages on injury cases. So I think it's $300,000, if I recall correctly, for damages. That's the cap for any of the civil damages. There may be a separate one for wrongful death, but there certainly will be action, in my estimation, civilly against that officer in the city, probably the city, for those 3 individuals, the 2 that were killed in the accident and the one that survived. All 3 of them have causes of action. Of course, the surviving father, husband, will bring the action on behalf of the deceased family members.
All right, and
I need to correct one thing that I said, if I may, because as I was sitting here, I was reflecting. Apparently, I've had a senior moment. The police officer was also in state court. I remember reading the article in the paper, and the prosecutor was a gentleman named William Bond, and I know Mr. Bond, and Mr. Bond's a prosecutor in state court. So my bad on that he was in state court. Okay. And the point here is that it's the same level of court. Okay. It's the same sentence. It's 2 very different fact situations.
Very different.
Different divisions of court, I imagine, though.
Different divisions of court.
Right.
And we'll open the phone line right now. If you have a question for the attorneys, whether talking about this issue or something else, you can call right now Attorney T. Clifton Harviel and Attorney William Neal Small, and they're in our office. You can call us right now at 901-452-9955. 3094 for any questions legally that you don't understand. They are here. They're the experts, and they can help you. I tell you what, we'll take the break right here. When we come back, we'll continue to talk legal stuff, and the attorneys are here. And we're also honored to have the president of the new Tri-State Defender, Mr. Bernal Smith, here with us. And we're going to talk to him, too, in just a little bit here coming up. And Attorney Small, we're still looking for you in the afternoon.
Okay.
We didn't run you off, did we?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Talk some more Ole Miss.
Yeah. And now you just can't talk Ole Miss with him now.
Well,
he is well versed in a lot of other sports as well. I found that out.
baseball, basketball, football, not much in hockey, though.
Not much in hockey.
Right.
Well,
No, I'm right there with you.
I did enjoy the tennis the other day.
we'll talk about that and some legal stuff when we come back. I'll tell you about my first hockey game experience when we come back. You'll be surprised. We'll be back.
Are you a homeowner with homeowners insurance? If so, and if you have roof damage, M&M Roofing can help you get a new roof at no cost to you. Seriously, this is not a gimmick. There's no fine print. There will be no money out of your pocket, period. You know there's nothing worse than pulling in your driveway, looking at your home, and staring at a bad roof. You want to fix it, but you've never done it because you don't think you've got the money to do it. Turns out you might not need any money to do it. It's possible. In fact, it's likely M&M Roofing can get you a new roof at no cost to you. M&M Roofing is licensed, bonded, and insured, and they work directly with your insurance company. You don't have to be too involved unless you want to be involved. And either way, you'll be kept up to date every step of the way. M&M Roofing offers a limited lifetime warranty on all materials. They also handle commercial roofing, and they offer a $100 referral fee. So if you're a homeowner with homeowners insurance and you need a new roof, or if you know a homeowner with homeowners insurance who needs a new roof, call my guy Danny Morrison with M&M Roofing at 901-870-0186. That's Danny Morrison with M&M Roofing at 901-870-0186, or visit M&M Roofing online at mmroofing.net.
William Neal Small, attorney at law, located at 140 Jefferson Avenue in Memphis, Tennessee. Call 901-526-1717 for all your civil needs. He can represent you with bankruptcy, divorce, child support, child custody, injury, accidents, property damage, and more. You have tried the rest, now try the best. Attorney William Neal Small is a former chairman of the Memphis Bar Association's bankruptcy section and has been practicing for over 30 years. And his reliable, personal, reassuring legal experience is in your corner. Don't look any further. Attorney William Neal Small is the man you need for all your civil needs. Call him today, 901-526-1717. Attorney William Neal Small, an attorney who will fight for you. In need of a great criminal defense attorney? Call 901-543-9799. When forced with a crime, you want the best attorney to represent you and your loved ones. He is attorney T. Clifton Harviel. He is a solo practitioner working almost exclusively in federal criminal defense at the district court and circuit court levels. His efforts have been described by the Sixth Circuit as laudable, and he has been depicted by the district court as exemplifying that which we want attorneys to exemplify. In 2006, the Federal Bar Association voted him outstanding CJA panel attorney for the Western District of Tennessee. A graduate of both the University of Memphis College of Education in 1972 and the University of Memphis School of Law in 1976, attorney T. Clifton Harviel holds lifetime membership in the National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, the Tennessee Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, and the Memphis Shelby County Bar Association. He's a former Chief Public Defender in Memphis, Assistant Shelby County Public Defender, and Assistant Shelby County Attorney General. Over 33 years of criminal justice experience. The best by far. Call him today. Attorney T. Clifton Harviel, Law Offices, 901-543-9799. Again, 901-543-9799. Attorney T. Clifton Harviel. Graphics Printing, located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, a complete print shop for all your printing needs. They do it all. Color copies, resumes, funeral programs, rubber stamps, full-color business cards, wedding and graduation invitations, and more. 30-plus years of quality work and service. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, Tennessee, 901-345-9294. C Graphics Printing. And welcome back to the show, Memphis in the Morning. And no, we're not getting ready to go in the wrestling ring. It is 7:27, 27 minutes past the hour. The attorney is saying something over here. What do you go ahead and say it again. He missed.
Is the king here?
No,
he's got a match coming up soon, though. He's bringing back Jeff Jarrett, man. They're about to do it big time.
Really?
Memphis wrestling is back.
Jeff Jarrett?
Jeff Jarrett.
Oh, man.
Hey, look. And handsome Jimmy Valiant.
Oh, come on. No.
Are you serious?
No, he's going to referee.
Oh, okay.
He's going to referee.
Okay.
He's going to referee.
God. He's got, with all his arthritis?
Yeah, I've seen him in recent times. He's not going to be able to wrestle. He might be able to referee.
He's a smaller guy than what he used to be. Yeah.
He looks completely different.
Yeah.
I guess when you stop working out and maybe stop taking the steroids or whatever, you deflate back down.
Yeah. The air goes out.
Yeah, I hadn't seen him, but that guy's certainly a Memphis wrestling legend.
Yeah, he is.
Nothing else. Yeah.
Really, really is.
I got the wrestling CD when it came out, and I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. I've watched it more than once. It's very amusing to me.
Oh, well, one of the CDs you probably didn't get, though. Josh, who was that guy that was singing but he was lip syncing?
I think you're talking about Kamala.
Kamala.
Kamala, the Ugandan giant. We all know these people. Memphis Heat was the name of the CD I had.
Yeah,
and I thoroughly
that was a
enjoyed
great.
That was Jimmy Valiant.
About it. Yeah.
CD, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I've got a lot of wrestling fans around the table here.
We grew up in Memphis. What do you expect?
That was
Right.
That was the only thing going big time then. Yeah, at the Coliseum every month.
Right. Channel 5 wrestling.
Yeah.
Come on. Saturday morning went right without that.
You can't. This would tell me if you're a wrestling fan or not. Who were the announcers?
Oh, come on. Dave Brown and Lance Russell.
All right,
come on.
well, he's got it.
Banana nose.
Yeah. Now, if you know that, then you know you got it. Yeah, the banana nose.
Jimmy Hart, Mouth of the South.
As a matter of fact, I think he's supposed to be down in Tunica, too.
Oh, yeah.
Lance Russell's supposed to make that appearance down in Tunica with those guys. Yeah. All right. And I don't know. Who knows? I might put my stuff back on. Get it. I don't know.
Come on, Bob.
Yeah, I think it's time to give it up.
No, I think you can make a go of it, man.
Oh, really?
Let's get the king on the phone.
Hey, let's do it, man. Is that legal?
Oh, I'm sure it can be worked out.
All right, we got the attorneys T. Clifton Harviel and attorney William Neal Small. Guys, it's glad to have you in with us this morning. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Well, we had, I think, some questions left from the estate and the wills, didn't we, or did we?
Let's see here. Yeah, we. Here we go.
Well, while you're looking there, we didn't really get into why you need to have an estate, and I think that was one of the questions I saw. Mm-hmm. Of course, the reason you need to open an estate is to establish a transfer of title. In a lot of instances, if you do not have a will, then that's definitely how you need to do it, unless it's real estate, as we talked about, and it gives a notice to everybody who owns the property from the deceased estate as you go forward, and that's one of the main reasons.
Okay. One of the other questions we had here: a person they want to leave their property to their children. What are the options when they leave the property to the children?
Well, there's several options. I mean, you can leave it directly in a will. If, say, for instance, you have just a car, to use an example, you can put in the will that I leave my car to my son Joe. You can set up a trust through a will and leave it in trust where a trustee is appointed and manages whatever assets are in the estate.
Now, I guess when you get to this point, you're talking about a will, then you're talking about a trust, somebody added to look over the trust, or...
Well, when you have a
trust...
trust...
a little more complicated, or what?
It's more complicated, and it can be real complicated or just a little more complicated depending on how you want to set it up. But a trust can be done in a will, or it can be done before a will. One of the best things to do, though, is if you want to provide your relatives with things, is to try to do it before you pass away. There's a exemption of gift tax for, I think it's $15,000 a person now, so you can start providing to your relatives before you even pass away by that means.
Mm-hmm. And how does one Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say the options are wide open if you choose to do a will, because you can be as creative as you choose to be. If you choose not to do a will, then it's going to go by statute. It's going to go basically to your heirs is how it would flow.
It goes to your wife and children, and then it has levels of relation that it would go to if you don't have a wife or children.
And it goes up and it goes down the line.
And I guess the more siblings, the more relatives you got in this situation down the line, it gets a little more complicated, and someone has to be appointed.
It's probably a good idea to leave some indication of what you want done with your property with the folks that you care about, so they can do your wishes as best they can. If you don't say anything to anybody and you don't leave a will, the state takes care of it, but it may not go the way you would like it to have.
And what do you mean when the state takes care of it? What is
passes
the process?
Passes by statute.
That's what we were talking about. If you don't have a will and you pass away, it goes to your wife and children, and then to relatives of differing degrees. The higher degree or closer degree to you would get the benefit. Okay. So it's not all your relatives. It goes in categories. And one thing a lot of people don't understand is you can't exclude people that are relatives from your will. So if you have children that you don't think can handle money, or you don't want to, or hadn't been what you would consider good, you can exclude them from your will. But now, if it goes by state law, it will go to all your children.
Yeah, in other words, you could write somebody in or write somebody out if you chose to leave a will. If you choose not to leave a will, the statute says it goes to the relatives.
And I know that's happened many a times where people have chosen not to give certain ones into the will, your siblings and things of that nature. Have you handled anything like that?
Oh, yeah. And then you can't totally exclude your wife or spouse, your husband or wife. They are entitled to what they call accept from the will, EXCEPT, from the will. And they're entitled to get something from the estate as a spouse. But the children and anybody else, you do not have to leave anything to. Usually we want to put in the will, I specifically do not leave anything to this person, so there won't be any question. But if you do not have a will, then it goes to your wife and children, then to, I think, parents, then brothers and sisters, and relations down from there.
And once that happens, it's final. The other siblings or other person that's left out of the will, they can't come back and do anything legally. That is a legal bind.
They can come back and try. I mean, you can file a lawsuit anytime you want. It doesn't mean you're going to win, though. So the date a person passes away is the key. And then if they don't have a will, then you go by the relatives, as I was saying, the wife and children, and then from there.
But I agree with Bill that if you want somebody to be excluded, it's best to actually put that language in there. Say that. That way there's not an argument later that, oh, she forgot about me. I'm not mentioned anywhere. Well, yeah, you are. It says right here she doesn't want you to have anything.
Oh, God.
I mean, a lot of times...
What a way to mention somebody.
A lot of times people have wills, and then after they make the will, they have more children, and then that becomes a problem too. They call that pretermitted children. So you always want to update your will whenever any event in your life occurs, a divorce, a new birth, anything like that. You want to review it.
All right. Go ahead.
Just would any event that you were divorced and then remarried and didn't have a will, does it go to your current wife, your former wife, your children first? I mean, how does that work?
It would go to your current wife. Of course, your children are going to be your children, but at the date of your death, it would go to the wife you had at that time, and the prior wife should be excluded. Now, a lot of people forget to take prior wives off of insurance policies and things like that, and that's a problem for the present wife and children. You always want to make sure you review the whole situation when you have a big change like that, a divorce, a marriage, a birth, someone that is on the outcasts of the family. You just got to look at that real close.
That would be quite a little windfall for the first wife.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, money falls out of the sky and into her lap because her name wasn't taken off an insurance policy. But I bet you that happens with some regularity.
It happens all the time, and the animosity that it brings is not pleasant to watch.
Especially if the first wife has gone on years later and she's forgotten about the whole thing, and let's say she was in Memphis. Now she's in Timbuktu somewhere, and all of a sudden she gets this message: you got $3 million coming to you.
Right.
Yeah. And the insurance company can't. I mean, whoever's named on the policy as the beneficiary, that's who they have to pay it to.
Really?
It's not like they can correct it on their end. They're bound by the document. So if it says pay Jane Smith, they got to pay Jane Smith.
So if any of you ladies out there are listening and you are currently married to a guy that was formerly married,
Ladies or gentlemen,
Make sure they change their policy.
check the policy.
So if we write a will and then the life insurance policy has one name, but the will has another, so the life insurance will oversee?
The phone lines are open. Are we getting the call?
well, the beneficiary named in the policy would get the money.
Say that again. Ask the question. I'm sorry.
If a person writes a will and then they also have a life insurance policy where it's two different people, who actually gets the money for it?
The beneficiary named in the insurance policy gets the money, regardless of what the will says. That's a direct contract with the insurance company that they would have to pay the beneficiary.
And if I understand correctly, the insurance money would not be considered the property of the estate. It wouldn't actually go under the will.
It would not.
A separate contract that would be paid directly to the named party.
All right. And 452-3094 quickly. And the attorney's about to get out here. We're going to let them give their office phone numbers, and where you can call them at their office. And after they leave our office, Attorney T. Clifton Harviel.
Attorney T. Clifton Harviel, area code 901-543-9799. I've got court this morning, but I'll be in the office this afternoon.
All right.
William Small, my number is area code 901-526-1717.
All right. And so you can call them today and this afternoon or whenever they're going to be in, and they'll be glad to answer all of your legal questions. And it's always a good time to have the attorneys on. I want to remind you, Monday. Yes.
One more thing: if someone calls, leave a message if they don't get an answer, because we're in court a lot and we have other things going on. So, but if they leave a message, we'll get back with them.
Yes, indeed. And hey, it's always a pleasure to have those guys on. They'll be back Monday, and the week will be dedicated to domestic violence, and we'll be glad to talk to them then. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we got the president and CEO of the News Tri-State Defender to talk to, and he's going to get behind the microphone, maybe sing or something and do it. I don't know what he's doing. Hey, we'll talk to him after the break. You're listening to Memphis in the Morning on AM 730.